Today on Here for the Right Reasons, Hannah Brown reveals if she is ready to get engaged.
I'm just not in a rush for anything, but I'm really happy with where I am.
Plus, Nick Viall pops the question to Natalie Joy. Sarah Hyland reacts to Chris Harrison's comments on Wells. Plus, Dean and Kaylin celebrate their engagement. Claire Crawley opens up about her proposal to Dale Moss. And Ari and Lauren throw some shade at Bachelor Nation. We've got that plus so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hey guys, Christina Garibald here with Us Weekly Deputy Editor Sarah Heron. Sarah, we are just 1 week away from The Bachelor. I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. This little break, it really flew by.
It really does. But we get to be on Zach's journey to find love very soon, and we're excited to break it down each and every week. We have a lot of people last week talking about Chris Harrison's podcast, so let's get into what you guys had to say. Deb said, I would be interested in hearing Chris Harrison again. I think a lot of people would actually be interested. Bachelor Nation has been off since he left. Seems like a lot of people definitely do miss Chris, and this new podcast seems like an outlet for them to hear him and see what he's been up to. And it seems like he's a little angry about how things about how he exited ABC.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know a lot of people weren't happy with what I had to say about Chris Harrison last week. I never said he shouldn't have a podcast. I never said he shouldn't have a job. I think it totally makes sense that Chris Harrison is moving forward with his life. It's just was questionable to me, the decision, because I've listened to every episode of this show. And one, we've rehashed everything several times and in a way that I don't think even was helpful to the situation. I think it was about cancel culture and crisis management and PR. And if we're going to talk about what happened, let's talk about what happened, not talk about like cancel culture. That didn't do anything for me personally to help me, move on with him or whatever. I'm not even that I'm holding resentment, but just me as a listener, that didn't really work. Then this week's episode, he took callers and it was interesting, but everyone was just asking him questions about The Bachelor. And I can't imagine he's going to get that many people calling him, asking about anything else, at least for the foreseeable future. So for me, it's just an interesting thing to be doing. And I didn't know if it was the best decision or career move, but if people want to listen to it, it's number one on the charts. I'm sure everyone's going to listen to it, like to each their own. And he does have opinions about ABC. And my two favorite, things, The Bachelor and Amy and TJ's scandal, where he put them together. So that was That was a fascinating headline for me.
It was a fascinating headline. Yeah. He said to them to lawyer up. It's a good thing that they're lawyering up because, obviously, he's been through it. But yeah, like you said, it doesn't, but like how long are people going to be listening to this just to listen to stuff about The Bachelor? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, I'm not really sure where this path is that he's kind of going down. I don't know what exactly his end goal is, but I guess we're going to have to wait and find out. But Kimberly says, I hope this Bachelor season focuses on finding love in Zach's relationships. The producers have really ruined the show with all the drama. We've talked about that as well, and they've kind of billed this as the, the Mr. Here for the Right Reasons type of thing. So it seems like they definitely want this to be the season where he finds love, and I think they're going to do everything they can to make that work.
Yeah, and I think that'll create its own drama, right? Because one thing The Bachelor changed in the last couple of years that I guess in theory could have helped, it didn't with the love stories, but there has been seemingly a little less pressure with the getting engaged of it all. I mean, Rachel and Gabby really wanted that, but they kind of tried to say that was what they wanted. I feel like a lot of Clayton didn't get engaged. I think we kind of saw a little bit of trying to put less pressure on that, but then it didn't really work anyway. So now I feel like their own drama will be, if they're putting all this pressure on Zach to be Mr. Right Reasons, it's going to be great maybe in the moment, but then we might have a Ben Higgins situation where he has brought up so many times in interviews in the last couple of years that the perfect Ben label messed with him and he thought set him up for failure. So will we be hearing from Zach in a couple of years saying Mr. Right Reasons did that to him, or will he end up happily married? Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see. Well, somebody that is about to be happily married is Nick Viall. He and his girlfriend, Natalie Joy, are officially engaged after more than a year of dating. This was quite the proposal. I mean, they both wrote on Instagram, "For the rest of my life, it's you." They shared a bunch of images from their engagement shoot. And shortly before he proposed, a source exclusively told Us Weekly that the pair were very much in love and were considering a future together. But yeah, this was definitely planned out. They had a big party. It looked beautiful, and it seems like they're both very happy.
Yes, Victoria and Greg were there.
Yeah.
They're BFFs. There's a bunch of people from Bachelor there. It makes sense. They've been together for a couple years. Not surprised that they got engaged. But at the same time, this was happening. Obviously, we talked about last week, Nick being brought up by Chris Harrison in his podcast. Chris mentioned a lot of the names of people who reached out and kind of pointed to Nick and Wells as two people who were potentially, you know, gunning for his job. He made it clear that he thought Wells was great for the job and kind of implied that Nick was, you know, smelled the blood in the water. And Chris Harrison denied being shady. He did read the headlines from his first 2 episodes on the 3rd episode. So he's reading, he's listening. Hi, Chris Harrison, if you're there. Like he's paying attention, which I guess is part of the show, maybe like reacting to the reaction since they're talking about clickbait. I don't really know. But Nick did react in real time. And I think he had been reading a recap of an article, like his co-host was reading a recap of an article, then Chris Harrison was reading a recap of Nick Viall's recap. So very convoluted, but basically Nick Viall's initial reaction was, so he said I was gunning for his job, but he didn't list me as one of the people who reached out. This is what he said to his Viall Files co-hosts who were reading him the quotes. He said he was really disappointed to hear that Chris Harrison had to say that about him. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I think Chris should take more accountability for what he did. And again, I have never been like Chris's bestie. I'm just disappointed. I'm pretty sure Sean Lowe would have taken the job if he was offered it. So Chris Harrison kind of reacted to this on the 3rd episode and was like, I didn't shade Nick, and Nick and I FaceTimed after he got engaged. And now knowing he was getting engaged, this makes more sense to me that maybe he was feeling like sensitive and it was bad timing, like the quote. So it's all just like this weird convoluted communication through press.
This is so strange. I don't understand any of this. And I mean, I think Nick does make a good point. If Sean Lowe was offered the job, he would take it. Anybody that was offered this job of being the Bachelor host would take this job, despite like how you were feeling about friendships and things like that. I mean, this is the job that pretty much everybody wants. And, you know, It's interesting that he hasn't addressed Jesse Palmer, though.
I think that's interesting, too. And it was also, I thought it was an interesting move to kind of just start listing Bachelor couples and people and alums who you've been in touch with and who like reached out to you, because by doing that, you're automatically kind of implying that the names you didn't list that people might assume didn't reach out to you. And that probably isn't his intention. Maybe it is, because he is like trying to generate buzz with this show, which is fine. But then I think he's denying that by then clapping back at headlines. So I'm just kind of confused, like I said, about what the point is. But with Nick specifically, I listened to the episode myself. I thought he was being a little shady. He made it clear he thought Wells was good for the job and that Nick kind of was whatever. But also, isn't it fair for Nick to kind of question what Chris said? And he said that's fine. But then why point out that Nick isn't one of the people who reached out? Like, it's all like he's saying so much without saying it. And I know he's new to podcasting, but he should be ready for people to be calling out certain things if that's what's happening. And then I feel bad, so I'm nitpicking, but I'm like stressed about this whole thing, Christina.
So stressed, but everybody is talking about Chris Harrison's podcast. It even made it to the Critics' Choice Awards red carpet, where Sarah Hyland was asked about Wells getting a shout out on the podcast. She told Entertainment Tonight, I haven't listened to it yet. I think Chris texted Wells about it, being like, heads up, I talked about you in the 2nd episode, but I don't know what he said or anything. She also added that everybody loves Wells, which is true. And like we just said, she thought that Wells should have been given the title as Bachelor host, and that he would have been the perfect man for the job. So yeah, I mean, this, whatever Chris is doing, it is working. I mean, a lot of people are talking about it on all different, all different headlines that he talked about. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Wells would have been a great host. I do feel like Jesse Palmer is kind of coming into his own, though. I have enjoyed him the past couple of seasons. I feel like every single season he's getting more comfortable and better. So I don't hate it, but I think that Wells was probably like that probably should have been the right choice.
Agreed. I think Standby should have at least given Wells Paradise. It just makes no sense. It's like he does amazing job in Paradise. He's already there. He's invested. And the episodes they did where he was hosting and bartending last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was, with the guest host, like it was so seamless and funny. And I believe he has a genuine investment in all of these people. Without being too close to it. And like Paradise, you need a little bit more commentary. But yeah, I don't know. Jesse Palmer, totally fine. The host doesn't really affect it for me. I don't think the show is that different.
No,
I really
I don't either. I mean, the formula is the same. Everything's the same. I mean, it's just, I mean, he's literally Chris Harrison 2.0. I mean, same line, same everything. It's not like he's, I don't think he's bringing much to the table, which is different, but which is what I liked about like having like Caitlin and Tayshia and having people that have actually been through it. I mean, yes, Jesse has been through it too, but I feel like he doesn't really bring his perspective and like everything that he did to the table. Like he never really talks about it.
Former Bachelor part. Right. He makes a comment here or there, but
you forget that he was actually a Bachelor, maybe because it was so long ago, but I feel like that always brought like a good perspective, but I guess ABC felt differently.
Well, another former Bachelorette is opening up, Claire Crawley. Every couple months, Claire does an interview with some revealing moments. She told Michelle Young and Becca Kufrin on Bachelor Happy Hour that her fiance's second proposal, okay, so they got engaged twice, I forgot about that, was a moment I never expected. She said, anything with my mom, who's still in hospice for dementia and Alzheimer's, is so valuable because time is so limited. There was a point a year and a half ago where we thought it was the end. This is going to make me cry because I never thought that moment was possible. She said, I was so upset for a long time at my previous relationship because you took that moment and that time away from me and my mom. That was special, and I've been waiting to share it with my mom, and my dad hasn't been able to be around for that. Obviously, he's there in spirit, but not physically to witness a proposal. I felt robbed of that before and taken advantage of that before and used for that.
Ooh. I'd love to like a tell-all about what really went down with her and Dale.
I know. We've really never got many. Zach and Tayshia and Claire and Dale. Claire's thrown some shade.
Yes.
Dale has kind of not. It definitely gets messy with, I understand her feelings about her mom. I can't imagine, but I also don't know if that's technically Dale's fault unless he really was just using her. That's horrible. But I don't know. I feel like those are two couples that had like explosive, like not explosive, different because more people were surprised by Tayshia and Zach, obviously, than Claire and Dale. But I think because they had gotten back together too, like there was just a kind of a surprise there and not a lot of actual answers, just a lot of like implications. And that's sometimes more dangerous than just saying what happened.
Right. Yeah. Just give us what we want and we'll move on.
Yeah, I really do feel that way. Like I think the silence isn't always the best message here when a breakup on this show, because then we're always going to wonder what it was. And there's always a question to be answered.
So true. So true. All right. Well, let's move on to Ari and Lauren because they threw some shade at Bachelor Nation while doing an Instagram Q&A. Take a look.
Okay. This one is, you hate Bachelor Nation. No,
we don't hate Bachelor Nation. We don't really watch The Bachelor anymore.
I would say we're very far removed from it now.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, there's only 3 Bachelors that are still with somebody from their season. And it's just interesting that they never reach out.
I don't really think it's about that.
I mean, it's just funny that wouldn't they want to celebrate some success instead of always having some drama?
I will say that it doesn't seem like they really care too much about the success of the couples anymore. It seems like it's way more about the drama and controversy.
Yeah, but if I want to watch drama and like sensationalism, I'd watch like F-Boy Island or like another just like random like Love Island or something.
Yeah.
I feel like they need to bring the romance back, and maybe this season they will.
Maybe.
I mean, they make a good point where they say, it's interesting that nobody from The Bachelor ever reaches out to them, even though they are a success story. And, Ari says that, only 3 Bachelors are with the people that they ended, or not. I mean, he didn't end up with Lauren, but with people from their seasons pretty much. And so he's like, it's funny that they are centered so much around the drama rather than the success stories, which is what we were kind of talking about at the beginning of the show, where they're trying to maybe spin it that Zach's season is now a success story rather than focusing on the drama.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But at the same time, I mean, one, we know that they are definitely going to be kind of leaning into that because Sean Lowe did film scenes with Zach.
Right.
And he'll be like in the premiere. So if you're going to go with like back to the classic and the what love stories, and there's no one, Sean Lowe is quite literally our only Bachelor who never broke up with his person. I mean, Matt and Rachel are still together, but a lot going on there. And I just think it's like, I don't know, maybe Ari and Lauren feel a little slighted because I guess they have people like in the finale in the audience, but other than that, like what does he want to be called for?
Right. Yeah. I guess if it just wants to have some more screen time, I don't know, Ari.
I mean, I want to talk to Ari. I'm trying to talk to Ari about The Traitors on Peacock because I love that show. So Ari, hello, answer my email. I will give you attention.
I love it. Let's get into our Bachelor Nation talk. And Sarah, I know that you recently caught up with Hannah Brown.
Yes, Hannah Brown is on a show on Fox right now called Special Forces. It's actually, I watched it just because I was going to talk to Hannah, but I actually really liked it. They are like with like Navy SEALs and they're doing training. It's crazy. And the cast is absolutely insane. Kate Gosselin, Kenya Moore, Jamie Lynn Spears, Beverly Mitchell from Seventh Heaven, and like 1,000 athletes. It's so bizarre. So if you want to hear a full interview with Hannah, go over the podcast. But for now, let's hear what she had to say about her boyfriend, Adam, and a potential engagement for her.
You and Adam, I feel like you're either about to celebrate 2 years or have celebrated 2 years together. Congratulations. How has your relationship grown? What can you tell me about that? Maybe more fun stuff than fighting for your life.
We've been together over 2 years now. He's the best. He's just like the most encouraging, optimistic person. Cause I think I can kind of be like, assessing the situation, always like looking for, just a little bit more fear-based sometimes. And he is just so great at encouraging me and just celebrating the life that we have together. And he's the best dog dad. We're doing great. And he's just, I've always said this, but like, he just continues to make me feel just so comfortable in who I am and who we are, and just a safe, just grounding place to always come home to. Yeah.
Have you learned anything about living together through living together?
We live together great. Like,
okay, good.
No, like he's so great. If I cook, he'll clean. Same for me. He's more, like I'm a tornado when I get ready, and like you can definitely see where I've been. So he kind of probably has more of that to deal with than I do. But I have to get on to him. I'm like, the outside stuff is your stuff. I'm the one that will like clean. Like I probably like clean up more, but you're in charge of the outside stuff and picking up Wally's poop and all that stuff. And he does that. But we have a great system.
Good. I have to ask you this. Engagement. Do you guys talk about it? Are you leaving that up to him? Are you not worried about it? Is it something you're talking about?
Yeah. Of course, like we've talked about it, but I am so great where we're at. I think he is too, but I do think it could be a possibility at some point. But it's not something that I'm like rushing. I'm actually so funny. I was on this TV show, like The Bachelor, like that I was a Bachelorette. Like I'm really, but maybe that taught me like I'm just not in a rush for anything. But I'm really happy with where I am.
Love to see that she's happy. No rush for engagement, but good for her.
Yeah. She's always, she's really come a long way since we met her on Colton Underwood season. Never forget. Oh my God, I forgot it was, when I saw her the other day, I was thinking about her and the remember the quarantine crew? I mean, never forget, with Tyler and Matt. It just seems like a totally different world. Remember when she couldn't give a toast on Colton season because she was like so nervous in the hot tub, and then she ended up being our lead, winning Dancing with the Stars, and now is like with Navy SEALs? Like what?
Insane. It's really insane.
Yeah.
All right. Well, somebody else that had an interesting journey to their journey to find love was Dean and Kaylin. So let's get into our social media spotlight, because they recently had their engagement party, and the photos, everything looks like something out of a magazine. They're just so beautiful to look at.
It does. And that doesn't surprise me at all, because I remember when I talked to Kaylin a few months ago, she was like, I already have a dress for an engagement party. I'm like, have bridal things booked. So, she maybe tried to play it cool, but she always wanted this. And I'm glad they got there, because obviously we never really knew if Dean was being sarcastic or if he didn't want to get married or what was happening behind closed doors with those two. But clearly this is something that she wanted, and now something they both want. And Sarah Hyland again popping up, just bizarre. She's always at these things now, and wild.
Yeah, Becca Tilley was there. Ben Higgins was there. His wife was there. So it looks like they had a really good time. And it looks like the rain didn't get in the way, but she looked beautiful, and she'll make a beautiful bride. We still don't know if that ring was ever found, though.
I don't think it was.
I don't think so either.
I might be wrong. I might have to look. I might have to try to find out, because I don't know if it ever was.
I don't think so. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, it looks like it was a beautiful party, and I'm sure they'll have a beautiful wedding. But All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode of Here for the Right Reasons. Like we said, one more week to go. Next week, we'll be recapping the first episode of The Bachelor. So we will be moving from Wednesdays to Tuesdays since The Bachelor is on Mondays. So make sure to rearrange your schedule so you can watch us recap The Bachelor.
Oh, yes. Please do.
Please do. And like Sarah said, if you want to listen to the full interview with Hannah Brown, listen to the Here for the Right Reasons podcast, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.